What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. My name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and I am your host as always. This is episode number 48, and it's going to be the review on my first flip. So let's buckle in here and get right to it. But before that, go ahead and follow me on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you're listening to the podcast, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Podbean, or on YouTube. Go check me out, and then go check out figuringitoutfinance.com, where you can sign up for my newsletter and stay up to date on everything that I'm doing. So getting right into it here, flip number one has officially closed as of yesterday, and I had a couple surprises, things that weren't accounted for, and I wanted to be able to break down the good, the bad, and everything that happened throughout the entire flip process. So as I kind of updated on the flip as we went, I want to be able to go through everything now to be able to just kind of break it down. So finding it was pretty easy. We found it on the MLS, and this is my first real flip using hard money, borrowing money from a partner, which we rolled the funds straight into the next project. And so I had a little bit of experience going into it with doing some in-home renovations where I hired out some contractors, and it was kind of a headache because trying to get in touch with people, trying to see when they're going to come, it was all just a little bit of a headache. So for this one, I reached out to a couple different general contractors that were referred to me and interviewed them, got them, walked the house with them, and then was able to get their prices on what it would be for the labor and materials. So I walked into that first house thinking, it's going to be about $30,000. So that's what, I read Ryan Pineda's book on Flip Your Future, and he said the same thing. If you do one flip and it was $30,000, you're going to think everything else in that renovation, whatever house you walk into, is going to be about $30,000. So it's not until you walk a couple different houses to where you kind of start to understand the numbers a little bit more and really how to run the rehab budget. So I'd say on flip number two, I definitely have done a lot better on that and given myself a little bit more margin, and so we'll see how that goes. But for flip number one, we walked up with the contractor. I'm thinking, it's going to be $30,000 total. And he goes, yeah, it'll be about $25,000. I'm like, oh, that's sick. Like, that's awesome. And he's like, yeah, so you're thinking about probably 40 grand total. I'm like, what? Hold on here. 40 grand. I'm like, I budgeted 30. And like, we already have it underwritten and ready to go at 30. And he's like, oh yeah, it's going to be 25 for labor, and then materials are all on the side. So that kind of threw me for a loop, and I said, you know what? All right, let's go ahead and do it. So we go ahead with the whole renovation. It goes off without a hitch, really no hiccups or anything in it. He brought a crew down that he knows from Connecticut, knocked it out in 12 days. So it was a 16-day total project from start to finish once it was bought to being able to be completely finished with the house, with the down to the landscaping. So everything pretty much went off without a hitch there. And then we put it on the market probably about 2 weeks early, and because we were scheduling it to be a 4-week project, and that crew just came in, knocked it out. So awesome. And so after that 16 days, it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks, about the end of June to where we put it on the market. It was day 2 where we got a soft offer, and day 3 to where we accepted an offer. And then we kind of went into selling a house, which was a new experience for me. So that's where it was just kind of communicating with the agent. She's kind of walking me through the steps. So it was really good, because if this is going to be a business that I kind of stick with for the long haul, this is the experiences that I want and need to be able to understand that full process, where I can be a little bit picky and where I just need to say, okay. So that process was pretty simple. Hey, sign these papers, go get this. So no real big headaches, just asking you a bunch of dumb questions and just kind of getting that process over with. So paperwork is pretty much all handled by the agent. And then they're just asking me some other little questions like, was this really $30,000? I'm like, yes, it was. They're like, okay, sounds good. So that's pretty much it. And then we were supposed to close this past Monday, but it ended up being backed up to Thursday because of some unaccounted for funds on the buyer side. So that pushed us back a couple days. And then throughout this process, probably about 2 weeks ago, I got another property under contract, which I had to send over the wire for the earnest money this Monday, or I believe last week. So about probably a week ago. So I sent over the earnest money, and then we said, all right, we're going to close Monday on the first house, and then the second house, we're going to have the funds and be ready to go on Wednesday. So with the first house getting moved back to Thursday, that kind of put us in a really, really tight window. So today we're able to kind of have a crazy day to where I had to head up to Greensboro for a track meet, pop out of there, go do the wire, and then pop back to the track meet. And so we were able to get that wire done and officially close and buy flip number 2, which is getting started today, which is going to be another fun project with some bees hiding in the walls. So, but back to flip number 1, kind of where, so the good part is, overall, it went off without a hitch. It was a very good learning experience because I was able to work with a contractor who got me good numbers. He's a go-getter and is on top of everything, looking for deals for me. And basically, I was able to get proof of concept down. So where I struggled in this process, and kind of, I guess, the what went wrong part was the biggest one is going over budget. So as I predicted this flip to be about a $30,000 rehab, it turned into about $45,000 overall because there's extra little expenses in there and kind of just a pain in the ass. So had those little expenses just kind of keep adding up, and especially with materials, with the labor being $25,000, it really, really hurt on that side of things. But on the bright side, we were able to get it done in 12 days. So it's like, okay, we went over budget $15,000, which is a lot when the numbers were really tight where we were working at. However, being able to get it done in that window was a lot more important to me, working with a crew, getting to know how he works, what they need from me, and kind of where to go from there. So, but the going over budget, that really, really just hurt the profit. So we calculated the entire time that I was going to be able to get 20 after paying off the loan and then paying back the investor, I was going to end up with 26. So somehow in the communication that got a little messed up, and it was actually 20,000 that I was going to be able to receive instead of 26. So that's already $6,000 out of what I'm expecting. So when I got funded or got the funds and all the closing documents, I'm like, there's a couple numbers missing here. And they're like, no, this is right. And I'm like, wow. So that really hurt on that side. So being able to pay off the credit card with the $15,000 balance on it, and then so basically what I made off of it was $20,000. So minus the 15, that leaves me with about $5,000 in my pocket at the end of the day. So yeah, that one really hurt. And then just being able to pay my own expenses, leave a little bit in the bank for paying my own mortgage, and then working on getting an unsecured line of credit. So hopefully next week, having some of those conversations, being able to understand what that is, how that can benefit my business. We're going down that route. So being able to pull what I thought was going to be about a $12,000 Plus, at the end of the day, only ended up being like 3 to 5, which really hurt. But that's just me plain going over budget and not understanding how the rehab was supposed to go. So on this next project, I said, you know what? I know I'm not in a hole. I'm going to come out pretty much breaking even here. Not really much of a benefit because some of those funds are going to go into the next opportunity, because I had to pull some money out of my own account to be able to do the next flip for earnest money. So pulling that out, I'm talking in circles here. But yeah, not really much of a gain off of this first flip, but that's all right, because the main point of it was being able to go in and do it. So flip number 1 is officially checked off, and through some of the studying and some of the groups that I've been working on trying to just understand the flip a little bit more in that whole process, I've learned a better underwriting process from Cam Cathcart's deal flow. So I was able to implement that on this next flip. We turned down probably 5 to 10 houses, or probably 5 to 8. And then the flip number 2, finally the numbers came out exactly where we needed them. And I said, all right, let's pull the trigger. And then we took out a bathroom that we were expecting to put in. So instead of making it a 5-4, we were making it a 5-3. So 5 bedroom, 3 bathroom. And we pulled out one of the bathrooms. So that's going to make it that's going to give me about $7,500 on the spread out of what we were expecting on the 120 budget. So being able to understand that, see where we can cut back a little bit, see where we can, just basically control the budget based off real numbers where we know we're going to be able to sell the house at, which is what I struggled on the first one. So now I have an accurate budget that I'm able to offer on the property already going in with those rehab numbers, which is going to help me a lot for the coming flips instead of just trying to guess and coming in 10 to 15,000 off the budget. So hopefully I've learned a couple lessons from flip number 1, but that is the flip number 1 review. Not getting into the real exact numbers, but being able to not really take any profit off this first one, just being able to go through that whole flip experience with the contractor and using him again, being able to work with that team, go through the whole deal, and being able to just take that knowledge to be able to go do more. So that's what I'm putting into this next flip. So that's going to be even better. But I'm just glad that I have the proof of concept down, that I can do this. Now it's just looking and finding more opportunities to where the numbers work. So a lot learned here in flip number 1, but I'm super excited for flip number 2. And probably every Friday, I'll be giving a week update on what we're doing with that house, what's going on. So I already said we have some bees in the property. So that's a new one for me. So we're able to get somebody out there and spray it and take down some of those nests tomorrow. So that will hopefully knock out. And so super excited to talk through the first whole week on that one, but I appreciate you tuning in, and this is Chris Rickenbaugh signing off for the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. I'll see you next time.